I would like to move to what your leadership in establishing this organization. Mm-hmm. What were the precipitating factors that caused you to organize that first meeting?
Well, there was at least two resentments that I had. Nothing like resentment to sort of spur us on to where we head to in our lives. But one of them had to do with the inability to get the cans and bottles in through the system as it was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And the system was strictly a return to retail system, which meant that I had to take my cans and bottles into stores in the inner city who the shopkeepers often didn't want to have to accept the containers back. They hadn't sold them in the first place. They didn't even sell some of the brands that I was bringing back. A lot of stuff wasn't even in the deposit refund system. So they had reasons. They didn't have the storage space. I was dirty. My stuff was dirty. And, so there was a gap there. But I felt like this is unfair. Somebody paid the dime or nickel or whatever on this. I should be able to have a place where I can bring it back and retrieve that money. And so that was one issue. The other one was that what I had seen in my life in the downtown east side was that while needs were identified in terms of services and supports that people needed, opportunities for people in the inner city, living in the inner city, to participate meaningfully, and that means including being employed in service delivery, was really limited. That to a large extent that was very professionalized, and even new groups that got started, in order to gain credibility, would have to retain professional help in order to get the funding support that they needed to carry on. And then once that started, those needs to sustain the professionals become a driving force to get budget needs met, to pay the professionals to keep the business going. And that makes it very difficult for somebody that's stuck in a social quagmire to find a way out of that into something that maybe is sustainable. So I was kind of resentful of how those doors were kept closed to us. And, even if doors were opened a little bit, they were always sort of temporary kinds of circumstances, make-work kinds of programs, and that kind of thing, oftentimes exploiting people's circumstances. Well, if you were on employment insurance or something, we will top up your employment insurance. So, is it insurance that a person has earned? And it's insuring, or do we have to use our insurance to sort of hopefully support some sort of... Anyway, there's those kinds of various models which kind of are exploitative of the social circumstance, and in an uncomfortable way, if we really think hard about it, how do you separate out the interests of people that are involved in service delivery, in maintaining services, and in a way, because those services are maintaining a social condition in order to rationalize the service. And I'm not saying that people set out to keep us poor, but whether that's the intent or not, if that's the perception on the part of people that are receiving the services, then that's a really important issue. And so how we break out of that lock is important as well.